Hello. Uh, Welcome to another Wednesday meditation. Hello to, looks like Ali made it back, so it's good to see you. Hello to Thelina. Welcome. Ruth, the sun is out for you, but in Arizona, it's raining. It's totally been a gray day. It's been, I don't know, a change of pace. So that's nice. And Thelina and Aimless and Saban, probably all similar experience, although maybe it's not raining for you, Saban. Bonjour to Paul. Hello, Fred. Thank you as always. And Bill B. Did I say hi to Colette? Hello, Colette. Bill J. It's not quite time, so we start at about 15 minutes past the hour, and the reason we do that is because then it decreases the likelihood that I will get distracted at work and just work through our time. Although I have at least missed one of these. That was during the holidays. Post no bills, yes. So rainy in Arizona is it's not. I think we get some smallish percentage of days that it's rainy, and it's been mostly a mostly gray day. So yeah, I've got a bell. I've got a striker, and we'll put 15 minutes on the clock here, and we'll meditate for 25 minutes. The structure for today is, so I'll offer light guidance through the first 20 minutes. And then in the last 5 minutes, we'll let go of whatever the technique was that I was offering and just do nothing. So that is kind of what most people probably ended up here from. So for those for most people will know me from the Do Nothing Project as Jeff's sometimes fill-in guest host, and then most times moderator, and incredibly grateful for Fred pitching in on the moderation and helping out. Sunny in Ohio. That's good to hear. Yeah, the box the box of merit offering. I got a lot of folks saying that they liked that. So folks that don't know, a week, so not this past Sunday, but a week, so 10 days ago, maybe, I was, and I would say compassion compassion and merit are closely related. But so on the Do Nothing Project on Sunday nights, we do a 25-minute sit. The last 5 minutes of that sit is usually there's a friendliness practice. Friendliness being another translation for metta, METTA, or loving kindness. And so I was a guest on that, and we did a kind of a combination of looking for the sensation of bodily rest, while sort of doing it in a caring kind of way. And then we finished with this guidance on offering up a box of your sort of or putting all of our merit that we generated together. That's the notion that you hear a lot of, is from the often Tibetan schools will dedicate the merit from any given practice together, but the idea of putting all the merit into a box and then giving that away. So the Alan Watts way of saying it is, every time you meditate or you do good deeds, it's sort of like you get passed the ball, and the idea is to make another pass as soon as you receive it. So as soon as you receive the merit, you pass it on. I always liked that. Watts being the self-styled spiritual entertainer, not a surprise that he'd have a good way of framing that. So, and then welcome to Brian Sweeney. It does feel like we got started a little early, Brian, but it was a rolling start here. So I think that's everything. For today, it'll be like just a few sort of things in a couple different directions. Oh, thank you for that, Paul. Um, so yeah, that would be a good topic. Thank you for the suggestion. For the software minded folks that I know are in chat, I have started my own Trello board for ideas that I can put into the Substack. Partly because I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do for 31 days of mindfulness in March, basically, figuring that out as well. But yeah, that is a very good topic. So, all right. So I told you sort of who I am, why you might know me, and then we have where we're headed. So 25-minute sit together. Let's see. And I will show you the timer just in case. So I am often in my Zen community, I'm often the timekeeper, which means that I'm the one that rings the bells at the various points. And so part of the reason I volunteered for that job is when you're sitting long periods of time in Zen centers or with meditation groups, I often feel like maybe the timekeeper fell asleep. Maybe. And it couldn't have possibly been this long, right? And so if I'm the timekeeper, then I'm allowed to, actually, it's my duty to sort of sneak a look at the clock. So anyway, a little inside baseball there. The first session or first Zen intensive I sat, I was convinced the timekeeper had totally fallen asleep, and he was sitting right next to me. So I was like, he's got to be asleep, but it turned out he wasn't. So, all right, welcome, Gabrielle, just in time. All right. Invite the bell. And just the last minute for you to get situated so you're comfortable. All right. So as we settle in, I'm going to give prompts and instructions. You're always welcome to allow that to be in the background. I'll focus on the seated posture. So if you're sitting in a chair like I am, or on a cushion or a bench, but you could be lying down or standing, even walking. All totally valid postures. And really, we're aiming for being upright without being uptight as we sit. So potentially the feet flat on the floor can help with that. And just kind of checking in before we totally begin, kind of what's the vibe, kind of your own internal vibe check on how you already feel. So for me, some nights I'm kind of buzzy because I just got done with work. Tonight I'm sort of feeling a little more languid, maybe is a good term. I don't know. Like slowed down and kind of plodding. So just being able to kind of go, oh, okay, this is how it is. And the reason we do a vibe check like that is really just a notion of what's already here and not trying to really change anything, just acknowledging that. And then to promote arriving here in this posture, a few deliberate breaths. Slow and low is the tempo that we're going for. Breathing in through the nose slows our breath down, and that slowness allows us to go low into the belly. And then when the breath turns around and becomes that exhale, just seeing if you can extend it just a bit. So if we can make the breath twice as long as the inhale or almost twice as long as the inhale, that's a cue for the body that we can shift into a rest and relaxation state. And just beginning by kind of deciding what direction you want to go. If you want to focus on the body, perhaps the breath, or if you want to focus on sounds. So depending on which choice you make, the technique is very similar. So we're choosing because that helps us understand when we're able to pay attention in the range of focus that we said we're going to. And when we're outside of that, we can be aware of it and then bring our attention back. So if I'm focused on my body and then I get caught up in thought, not making a problem of it, but then bringing my attention back to the body, or my concentration back to the body. So when we're focused on the body, we could be focused on the pressure sensations. So where we make contact with our chair or the ground. We could focus on the whole body all at once. Pleasant for some, not people's jam in some cases. And then within the body, the breath is another option. So if you pick, let's say, the body sensations, your attention focuses on maybe the pressure sensation. You soak your attention in, and then we use an internal label to help keep us there a little bit longer. You can use feel, F-E-E-L. And the noting can be somewhat rhythmic, like a metronome. Again, you realize that you've shifted away from that. Bring the attention, concentration back. Start the process over. The last thing I'll offer is we could do that with sounds. So you have sounds from my environment that are coming into your environment. Sound of my voice, the clock. So noticing that you're noticing the sound, soaking your attention into it, and then labeling it here, H-E-A-R. And again, the tension's pulled away. The real move is to just not make a big deal out of it. You may feel frustrated, that's okay. Bring the concentration back. Begin again. All right. So I will give you time to explore on your own, and then I will check in a lengthy bit of time. So just a possibility that as you settle in and you get concentrated, you may find that you have pleasant sensations available. So you may have a restful sensation in the body. Maybe you have a sort of pleasant sensation with the groove that you've gotten into with listening, with audio. So just knowing that you could shift your attention to that pleasant sensation and turn that into your meditation object. It may not be stable, it may go away once you focus on it. That's okay. You can go back to what you were doing. Just knowing that that's a possibility of shifting to that sensation. Sometimes it gets bigger, and we're not opposed to positive sensations. So just knowing you have that option. And then the last thing is just knowing that you could drop the labels, the mental labels, if they feel like they're in the way, or you could lean into those labels and increase the frequency. So for me, if I was focused on sounds, and maybe noticing where my concentration is, and then soaking the attention in, and then here, 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 I may repeat that mental label some number of times. Again, not required, just an option. Drop the label or increase the frequency. All right, so you have the option of continuing and just kind of allowing what I'm about to say to be kind of in the background, and you can sort of opt out. But this is your opportunity to put the technique down if you don't continue on and do nothing. And the notion in do nothing is that whenever we feel or notice an intention to control our attention, we let go of it. And if you do that multiple times and your mind is still deciding it wants to do something, then that's sort of what it's chosen to do. So if you've counted your breaths in meditation for a long time, sometimes for me, what'll happen is I'll sit down to do nothing, and then my mind will decide to start counting my breaths. And so I'm okay with that. Just let it do it. Not a big deal. But the idea here is really just sitting. And if that doesn't feel sort of supportive enough, the notion is just really to sit with the feeling that you're sitting or knowing that you're sitting. I will invite the bell to signal the end. Thank you for your practice. So I'll offer this just because I mentioned merit. So one dedication of merit that the Open Heart Project uses is, may the fruits of our practice be for all beings. May our actions be for the benefit of all beings. So so that I have that I have that taped to the side of my monitor. And I guess I did that in August of 23. So I stamped the date on it. So that's one dedication of merit. Just as an aside, part of that, I think the reason is that keeps you in a frame of mind. This is pure speculation as a practitioner, but the dedication of merit, I think, keeps you in a mind where I'm not hoarding all of the goodness for me. It's not more. I'm not sort of honing like the idea of sharpening a knife. I'm not sharpening a knife. I'm doing this to kind of for how I show up in the world, and I show up in the world for the benefit of all beings. So Amos, just this is a particular dedication of merit from the Open Heart Project, and so I'll read it one more time. May the fruits of our practice be for the benefit of all beings. May our actions be for the benefit of all beings. So folks that have come know that for a while I would do the may our actions be for the benefit of all beings at the end. So I kind of play with that on and off. So yeah, and you're all incredibly welcome. Thank you so much for being here on a Wednesday night. I think so. For folks that are here that are normally in the Do Nothing Project, so Jeff mentioned he's traveling, and so we think he's going to have internet connection and everything. So that's the plan. And so, but as always, we really appreciate your patience with potential technical difficulties. So, so yeah, so that's just as a heads up. So, yeah, Ruth, I think it's such a nice dedication as well. And I want to acknowledge for folks that have a family tradition from at least from my Catholic upbringing, the dedication of merit used to always kind of felt weird about it. But that's why I offer part of the purpose, like the notion of this, the framing from it, from that as a purpose. So, and then somebody asked recently, and I think I try to do a thing of this, but like, why not doing anything at the end? Which is a very good question. But the notion, and Jeff will talk about this, and we don't have a super bunch of time here. I don't want to keep everybody from what you have coming up in your life at the top of the hour here. But so whenever we're doing a meditation practice, we're training 3 skills, and that's the skill of concentration, which is the ability for us to put our attention where we want for as long as we want, or to put our attention on what we deem important. So sometimes that's referred to as concentration power. So concentration is the first skill. Sensory clarity or clarity is the second skill. And the idea of that, or what that skill is talking about, is that I'm able to track what's going on moment to moment in my body, and then what's around me. I've mentioned this often, but I'm a software engineer by trade and training. Thank you, Paul. That's the Jeff list. And so until I started meditating, I lived all here. And so I jokingly say it's kind of like the realization of an antenna, and you put a dish on that antenna, and the dish is the rest of my body. So I started to be able to really feel what was going on in my body. And that was a benefit to me, because I realized what a sort of tuning fork the body can be. So concentration, clarity, equanimity is really the part that when we let go of our technique and we do nothing, it's this notion that equanimity is not pushing or pulling on our internal experience. So it's important to note you should push and pull on your outer experience to make sure that you're treated in the way that you want to be treated. Some people hear that equanimity piece about not pushing or pulling as like the sort of some sort of way of saying like you should be like super even keel. But really this is not sort of chasing after a particular emotion in the body or a sensation in the body, or holding on to something and saying like, I don't want this to go. So equanimity gives us this evenness and balance. And so I was using I almost dropped Snoopy in Woodstock. So I was using this, like the notion of equanimity. Maybe one way of thinking about it is, if I'm always sort of messing with my experience, I'm always shaking my experience up, and I'm not allowing myself to just sit, then I'm always going to feel like my existence is sort of this clouded nature. And if I can just sort of sit and let my experience be, those little moments of do nothing are a way for us to look at what is experience like when I don't meddle with it. And then, as Paul pointed out, the fourth skill that Jeff Warren likes to include is really this notion that to be with all three of those skills requires a certain aspect of care, and that care to him is the missing part of that. So, but I like this idea of, if I'm always shaking things up internally, like I'm never really letting myself be just with whatever's going on, then it's going to look like my reality looks like the fuzziness of the snow. And when I sit down, and I now, granted, sometimes when you sit down, I don't want to make it sound like everything's amazing, but yes, definitely aimless, the monkey mind kind of aspect. So definitely we have aspects where our experience can be like way out there and things. So the notion from a skillfulness perspective is, if it's too uncomfortable to try to just sit, one of the ways we can operate from is to focus out. So yeah. So thank you for those questions. The folks, I think everybody here is on. So I am maintaining a mailing list manually while I still can. So I dropped that over in chat. If you aren't on the mailing list and you want to join, you can you can email me and I'll add you. And if you want off the list, you can always email me and I can take you right off. So and as Ruth had pointed out multiple times, the manual version of the mailing list is nice because you can always just reply back to me and be like, hey, you had this thing and you mentioned this. So you can always reply back. Or if you have suggestions, like Paul's suggestion about that topic for Substack, that's great. I really love that. So thank you, Paul. You're incredibly welcome. All right, so you got 6 minutes until the top of the hour. I love footnoting. Somebody told me once, they told me, and I really appreciated them sharing it this way. They said, I knew you were my kind of nerd because you footnote emails. And so I was like, yes, I am that person. So all right, we'll be back on next week. It'll be February. Can you believe that? Frankly, I can't wait for January to be over. And happy Lunar New Year. Just know it is not just the year of the snake, it's the year of the wood snake, which I thought was very, very interesting. So I've noticed that some folks are calling out that it's the wood snake, not just a regular old snake. So I have yet to figure out why that's important yet, but there's got to be a story. So what's up with the wood snake? So have an excellent rest of your week. Thank you to the folks that are tuning in, notably folks from Australia. I do see you. And yeah, they're different snake years. I don't understand, Paul. Maybe, I don't know if there's an elementalness. I've never noticed the element prefix being included on one of the animals before. So, but the first place I saw it is Bruce Lee's daughter Shannon operates his like his Facebook page or his Facebook group page, and Shannon was the first person I saw mention it, and then I noticed it in another place. So yeah, I'm always interested in that. Eons ago, it feels like in like 2004, I was in San Francisco during Lunar New Year, and it was such a delight to be part of, to be around Chinatown during that time. So I'm always kind of curious what's going on with Lunar New Year. All right. Enough random talk. Thank you again, and I'll see folks on Sunday.